Hello and welcome back to another review with me, Kevin, from Kevin Grant on Whiskey. I've had a little hiatus of dreaded C word. I had COVID, so I've not been around for a couple of weeks to do reviews. But prior to that, I had a Texas family over, I had my partner's family from Canada over, and I was able to pick up a couple of bottles when I was out and about, feeling fine and not under the weather. And this is one of the bottles I've got. This is a Cadenheads blended malt. This is the sherry cask one that they've got. So you walk into Cadenheads, this was in Edinburgh, I bought this. So when you go into Cadenheads, behind the counter, they've got three big, huge kind of see-through jugs. One of them says rum, one says bourbon, and one says sherry. And these are the casks. Blended malts have been put in there, and this is what we get. I was able to find out that there's a peated as well, so there's four, there's a peated, and the one that I was able to find out peated is Bunnahabhain, and I think it was Altmore, he said. This one, he wasn't too sure, he never gave any hints away. As we can see, we've just poured this into the glass, so I'm going to let it breathe for a little bit, because it's 57.7% ABV. So we look at Cadenheads, founded in 1842 down in Campbelltown, as the kind of the main store that they have in that kind of magical place of Campbelltown. They get everything is always non-chill filtered, natural colour. They do certain ranges, so ones like cask strength, certain ones are watered down to 46%. They get whiskies from all over the world, closed distilleries. They have whiskey from Canada, rum from Trinidad. Literally kind of cover all bases, but price point is always the main thing for me. I think they're very reasonably priced for the quality of product that we can get, and I think they've kind of kept that through the years, which is it's superb to see, because we are starting to see an increase, especially secondary market for Campbelltown whiskies. I find that Springbanks and things are starting to creep up. So Cadenhead's keeping it at a reasonable price for the whiskey drinker to go for. So this is a blended malt. So when we look at blended malt, we do know it came from malt distilleries. There's no grain in here, so we just need to try and see if we can smell through the dram, if my nose is still going to be working properly. I've still got a kind of little cold from the backlash of it all. But I'm going to get this nosed, I'm going to get into it, and we'll try and talk a wee bit more about Cadenheads in itself. So this has been sitting in the glass for a wee bit, just to try and let it open up, because sometimes I do believe that you can get a neck pour which can be quite tight and not air. But let's see what we get on this. As you can tell by the colour, sherry is the forefront of this for sure. It's a kind of light, it's like a weird, there's a real freshness coming from it as well, like a kind key lime pie, slight mint note, like mint leaf. But full sherry note. Not too harsh with alcohol. I think that kind of sweetness from the sherry cask is definitely diluting the alcohol hit from it. But there's a kind of minty, I would say maybe a Highland note to it as well. There's a maybe slight floral note to it. But let's see what we get on the palate. First whiskey in a while, and see how the palate still reacts to first whiskey of the day being 57.7% as well. So slans around. Nice and dry. At the start it's quite dry, a big spice kick to it, and then I can feel my mouth watering as if it's got 3 stages of sherry to it. It's got dry sherry, it feels at the start, that kind of spice hit coming in the aftermath, and then I'm getting really kind of those really jammy fruits again, as if it's been in a gateau fruits, forest fruits and things like that. But the alcohol again, 57.7, I don't get that. So we talk about labelling, it's very plain Jane. I know this is a sherry cask one because it says on there, and they just print loads off, and then they just hand the freehand on there. So it's a 70cl and 57.7. I could have wrote my name on it and when it was actually bottled on, but I wasn't too fussed about that. The branding is always very plain, but straight to the point. I've always found. I can't remember exactly what I paid for this, but blended malt, sherry cask, that colour, natural colour, non-chill filtered. I think it was £39, maybe £40, because my Texas family was over, also bought a 20cl. I bought them that, so we can try it together. So hopefully when they watch this video, see what flavours they get, if they get the same as myself. So I'm going to say, I think it was sub £40 for each one that they have in the back of behind the till, which you can see and get poured for you. But we'll go back to the nose. It's sort of gateau fruits now. I'm right on that. There's floral notes when I sometimes get kind of floral notes with Highland whiskies. Big rich jammy sherry notes too. Alcohol, I say, it's not giving me that little bit of kind of peppermint mint leaf is still kicking around. And as you can tell, I've just noticed I have no water to dilute this to try it. So we're just going straight today. No need to revisit it with water later. But we'll go back for another wee sip and see how we get on. It's a really good sherried whiskey. Blended malt, I could not even think of what distilleries it's coming from. I wouldn't even want to try and fathom a guess at it. Because they are so big, Cadenheads have got such a huge array of cask influence, and buying is I think they could probably chap on most distillery doors and get it. So it's a hard thing to try and figure out what this can be. I don't get any peat whatsoever. I think as a blended malt, I'm going to say a Highland and Speyside would probably be the two main components to it, but I don't know. When I asked, they wouldn't tell me. As you can see as well, we're back to the living room because partner works at home now, so the whiskey room is an office slash recording studio, what we call it, when I get the opportunity. But I do like it here to sit and enjoy my dram, look out and see the Wallace Monument, sitting there and get a little bit of inspiration for the whiskey as well. But it's been weird coming back to do a review. I've missed it, yes, but I'm just starting to feel definitely back on the mend. I have a bottle of Kilkerran heavily peated, the latest batch, which I'll maybe do next, and I also bought a Glenlivet 12-year-old from the 90s. These will probably be my next couple of videos that I'll get out for everyone. But thank you for the messages as well, people checking in on me, seeing how I'm doing, and it's been absolutely overwhelming, and I really, really appreciate that. And people that have just joined the channel as well, I've seen a couple of new subscribers, so thank you and welcome. And if you do like the content, feel free to subscribe as well. I will keep weekly content when I am fully fit. But I'm going to stay here. I'm just going to turn the camera off now, and I'm going to sit, enjoy this, maybe go and get some water and try it and see if anything else changes. But this is a whiskey that I would enjoy, easily approachable, easily able to pick up if you're at a Cadenhead store, especially the one in Edinburgh, just down the mile at the bottom near the Parliament. You'll be able to pick one of these up, and I'm pretty sure it was sub £40, £39 I think I paid for this. But enjoying it for the first pour. Let's see if this opens up some more in the future. But again, thanks everyone for coming back and sticking around and waiting for me to put these videos out. I do enjoy them, I really do. But as always, I've been Kevin from Kevin Grant on Whiskey, and join me next week. Let's talk whiskey. Slange.